If you happen to be following along in your book, I'm on page 45, and next up is the Using Panel and Context menus. So most of our panels over here in Illustrator have a contextual menu, or 3 or 4 lines right here. This is the More menu, I like to call it, and things specific to the item that you're in. So when we're in layers and we click on the contextual menu, it will be specific to layers. So first thing we're going to do is with our selection tool, we're going to click on, whoops, not that, the large shape in the background. And we're going to go to our properties panel. And again, we're going to see some things that we have going on. For instance, we have an appearance of this gradient fill. We're going to click on this in the properties panel, and this is going to pop up some other options for us. This version is the swatch view, and this version is the color mixer view. So there's 2 different views for the same thing. There's also a contextual menu here. Let's click on that, and we see where we can add some things that are new, we can sort them, or how we view them. So right now we're seeing a small thumbnail view. Let's switch to a small list view. And this box, like everything, if there's this little lightly dotted triangle down here, is something that you can expand. So you might need to pull it down to see all of the options. So in this view, we not only see the little swatch, we also see more information about it. We see the red, green, and blue coordinates. We can go back to seeing a small thumbnail view by clicking on that, or maybe we would like a large thumbnail view. I'm going to switch back to the small, and I'm going to make this a little bit smaller again. To get rid of this window, we can just click away or hit the escape key on your keyboard. All right, let's move our cursor over off of the artboard into this dark gray work area to the right. And from here, let's do a right click. On a PC mouse, you for sure have a right click button. If you're on a Mac, I just want to point out that your right click might not be turned on. And in that case, you have to use the control button on a Mac, which actually exists. There's both a control and a command. You would use the control button and right click physically on the mouse, but there's a much easier way of setting it up on a Mac. And if you go into your system preferences on a Mac, this is something we'll be doing in class, in the classroom, to make sure that we're all set up with a right click. When this opens, we're going to choose the mouse, and we're going to make sure that it knows that we want a right click option. So in our system preferences, we're going to choose the mouse. And this is the option that you need to turn on, secondary click, meaning that if you click on the right side of the mouse, because this isn't 2 divided buttons, it's going to work like a right click and bring you this contextual window. You can also change the way these Mac mouse works, meaning there's no wheel. You actually just pull your finger up and down, and your scroll direction can be natural, meaning as you pull down, the page goes down, and as you go up, the page goes up, or the opposite, which for some reason is what I prefer. When I pull down on, whoops, here we go. When I pull down on the mouse, I expect it to roll down with me. Whoops. So these are some options. Also, this is where we're going to find the battery level if we happen to have a wireless mouse. So something to keep track of. All right. I'm going to close that out and get back into Illustrator. And again, so when we're over here in this dark area, we're going to right click, and this pop-up window is going to show us some options that we have from here with nothing selected. So we can zoom in, zoom out, we can show our rulers, our guides, our grids, etc. So that can be very helpful as well. All right, changing the view of our artwork. We already talked about all the different options down here in the lower left corner, how we can go from 3% all the way up to 64,000%. Some easier ways are using the View menu And this is actually not the easiest way at all. This is probably the last way you would do it. Zoom in. The keyboard shortcut that it showed is the one that you're probably going to be using, which is Command plus. So remember, just holding down Command or Control and the plus sign continually zooms you in. Command or Control on a PC minus, and I'm using the plus and minus keys that are right on the top of my keyboard above my letters. That's where I'm going right now. So Command minus and Command plus zoom us in and out. If we get zoomed in too far, we want to fit our artboard on the window. The shortcut for that is Command 0, and that's one you're going to use a lot. Another option is actually using the zoom tool. So over in our toolbar at the very bottom, we see a magnifying glass. This is the zoom tool. Letter Z is the shortcut. With that active, I want you to notice that the icon we see has a plus inside, meaning every time we click, it's going to zoom in on that exact point. So I'm clicking on the top of the hat each time, and it keeps zooming in. To zoom out, we have to hold down a keyboard modifier, and we're going to hold down the Option key on a Mac, which is Alt on your PC. When you see the minus sign, you're going to continue to hold down that modifying key and continue clicking. You can also do a Command 0 to reset it to fit your artboard. Another option with the zoom tool, if your computer can handle it, meaning you have enough RAM and some other things going on with your graphics processor, as you click and drag, it will zoom in. So as I'm clicking and dragging to the right, it keeps zooming in. I'm making a marquee. Clicking and dragging to the left should have worked the opposite way, but it isn't. So I'm holding the modifier key again, the Option or Alt, and I'm scrubbing. I probably don't have enough memory on my computer to make this work, to be honest. The scrubby zoom should work a little bit better than I'm seeing it here. Let's fit in our window, Command 0. Let's see. Because zoom is something that you use a lot of, let's just switch to another tool, anything but the text tool. So let's switch to the gradient tool again. If we were working with the gradient tool and we wanted to quickly jump to the zoom tool, rather than going over here and switching tools, there's a keyboard shortcut, and what we're going to do on a Mac is press the spacebar and Command at the same time, and that temporarily gives us the zoom tool. We let go of those two and we're back to whatever tool we were originally using, in this case the gradient tool. So spacebar Command temporarily gives you the zoom tool, and then you're right back to whatever tool you were in. This can be a real helpful shortcut as well. Another tool that we want to look at is actually nested in this basic toolbar. It's nested under the zoom tool. So click and hold down at that tiny corner and you'll see the hand tool. The hand tool lets us move this around as if it's a sheet of paper on our physical desktop, so we can move around. Maybe we zoomed in and we aren't exactly where we want to be, so we just move a little to the left or the right. I'm going to go back to a fit in artboard and show you how it works here. Taking the hand tool and we're just moving it around in different areas. This is another tool that you're going to use a lot. So let's say we were zooming in and what I meant to get was the fish, and I know I didn't get the fish. And I'm in a tool other than my hand tool or my zoom tool. The shortcut that Adobe has made, knowing that this is a very popular tool, is just hold the space bar. So from any tool, when you hold the space bar, it automatically turns into the hand tool, and you can navigate around to find the fish, for example. When we let go of the space bar, we're back to whatever tool we started with. So those are some very helpful navigation and moving around on your artboard tips and tricks.